Cool Topics, a podcast for women in midlife and beyond. Here at Hot Flashes and Cool Topics, we talk about anything and everything to do with midlife. My name is Colleen.
My name is Bridget.
And in season 2, we have been trying to kind of find some really cool products that we think women in our demographic would love, would benefit from, have no idea exist. But oh my gosh, why didn't I know this was here? And it can help you. So one of those products that we are really excited to talk about today is the Ember Labs bracelet, which is it's the advertisement says own your body temperature. And basically it's waves. You wear this, what looks like a watch on your wrist, on the inside of your wrist, and it sends waves that can control your body temperature. So if you're too cold or if you're too hot, you turn it on. It's very simple to use, but they have really had a huge benefit in the hot flashes market. So Imagine when you're having a hot flash, you press a button, and all of a sudden your body starts to feel a cooling sensation to calm your hot flash down. Mm-hmm. And as he called us, the primetime women.
I love that.
Are totally
And he said we could steal it. Yes.
And we are. His name is Sam Shames, the CEO of the company, one of three.
He's the COO. He's the
COO. He's the COO. He's one of 3 C somethings.
Yes, he's one of the co-founders. He's one of the ones that came up with it. Yes.
And he tells the story of being a senior at MIT and coming up with this idea, which, don't we all just sit in a lab and come up with like a life-altering
all the time
solution?
Like what?
They just happen to be cold in a lab. But
isn't that amazing? Yeah.
I know. Bridget's going to tell you more about him. But we just wanted to share that he's just a lovely person and really excited about his product. I mean, it's only been out a couple of years. It's a lot of word of mouth, but we can just see how this is going to benefit women in midlife and beyond.
Yes.
Right, Bridget?
Yeah. So he was so nice and generous, but Sam Shames is his name, like Colleen said, and he's one of the co-founders of Ember Labs. And so their bracelet is the Wave bracelet, Ember, EMBR, Waves bracelet. And he was a student at MIT with 2 other guys. You're going to hear that whole story and how they were in a competition. And they just let what was happening around them notice something was bothering them. And what could we do to solve this problem? And I think that was great, but they were too cold. And they took that and found a great target audience in women, in prime time. Yes. And I just loved the whole way that how they went to their friends of their mothers and to find a target audience, and just took it like 7 years they've been working on this. So I thought that was just
constantly updating it. They have overnight, where if you're having night sweats, which honestly, I don't own one, but I am going to buy one.
Oh, I'm going to be buying one. And
I might wait until the special comes out because they are going to be doing some promotions.
They are, but
holidays.
I was looking at his bio. He was named one of the Forbes 30 under 30 people.
Well, I think it's well deserved.
Oh, I think so too. Absolutely.
We were saying during the interview that one of the main complaints that we get from women listeners are hot flashes, night sweats, trouble regulating your body temperature. So this is a natural alternative to chemicals, which women are always looking for. They always want to say, well, can I eat, what can I eat that helps phytoestrogens? And then well, this is a simple wave bracelet that you can put on your wrist. And he's saying if in 30 days you don't find that it works, send it back, and they have no problem with that. But the majority of people are keeping it because it is helping them.
It is helpful. And I just appreciate his honesty. And I, also if you were wearing that, I don't know, after you would have a night sweat especially, you would be freezing cold or hot flash. Or you'd be burning up. You stop sweating. You're freezing cold. This, I was just reading the research, that's another area where it can help. It could go from one to the other. So it looks very simple to use. And it shows, if you go to their website, embrlabs.com, then you can find out just all the science behind it. And I like how they do the science, the research, and how the reaction
they explain it
from the nerves touches your brain. You'll hear all that in our interview. But
he makes it sound very simple.
He makes it sound
it's
very
not simple.
I'm sure it was not, but he probably would be an excellent teacher or professor,
Professor,
he
yes.
probably
I
would.
was thinking that when he was talking, I'm like, you would
I
make a
was like,
really
I
good
get it
professor.
all. I get it all. So, you know.
So, and we're really excited. He has things coming up with the Embrace, which he'll
Mhm,
talk about. And just, it's something, it's an alternative for women. We are always saying how the market ignores us, how
mhm,
commercial advertising ignores us. Well, this is something that not only one can be targeted directly to our demographic, but two can help other people who have medical conditions that they cannot control their
mhm,
body temperatures. So,
mhm,
they are now getting into the insurance world a little bit, not directly, but with the flexible options.
mhm.
And it's great to think that someone who may be going through chemo, who is having hot flashes, can get one of these bracelets and it can help them even a little bit.
Right. I mean, my brother has MS. I really might get him one for Christmas because
That's a great
he
idea.
is some people. I knew another lady that had MS and she would get too hot and she would
Mm.
have extra air conditioning. He gets too cold. So that's, but you can regulate with this bracelet with the Ember Wave. So I think that might be a good gift because it's so hard to figure out what to get him anyway.
Well,
And I'm
that's a great
sure
idea. He would
he's
love it.
sick of t-shirts. So I'm like, I'll get you another t-shirt. So that
No
that would be a
t-shirts,
good.
but he better not be listening to this episode because then he's
Oh,
going to
he
know what he's
probably
getting.
won't be, but he might be. I
You
mean,
never
it's not.
know.
He's not our target audience, but you
But
never
you
know.
never know.
He might just want to hear
He could be
my
hanging
voice.
out.
Yeah, he could I don't think he wants to hear my voice. He heard it enough when he was growing up. So,
Uh,
you know.
all right, we are going to let Sam take over and
Yes.
explain the great innovation of the Ember
Mhm.
Wave.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. Today we have a great guest, Sam Shames, and he is a co founder and chief operating officer of Ember Labs. And I'm not sure if you guys have seen these ads for Ember Labs and what they have, their bracelet. I'm going to let him tell you all about it, but I wish that had been around
Oh my
when I was
gosh.
having my hot flashes every 5 minutes. I really was. Probably 5 years ago where they were at their worst. And if I had seen this, I would have grabbed it.
It's on my
So
Christmas list. It's on
yes,
my
yes,
Christmas list.
yes. And I love the whole backstory. I read all about Sam, your backstory and everything. But do you mind? You can start from the beginning about how you met your co founders and how this came to be. So go right ahead, jump into it.
I'd love to. And thank you, Bridget and Colleen, for having me on. So just by way of quick introduction, Ember Labs, we call ourselves a thermal wellness technology company. So
Mhm.
we really believe that temperature can be a therapy and a tool to help people feel better. And we invented a product called Ember Wave, which is a wearable that heats and cools. And our customers have found that it's especially useful for dealing with things like hot flashes, sleep, anxiety, and other symptoms of menopause. We've really through this process become real advocates for, we call them prime time women. They're in the prime
Oh,
of their
thank
life
you.
and they don't
Oh,
want
I
to let
like
menopause
that.
slow
I
them
really
down.
like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
And
Uh-huh.
the origin story goes back to 2013 when I was going into my senior year at MIT studying material science and engineering, and had met who would be my co-founders from doing undergraduate research in a lab, and said, hey, we should do a prototyping contest together for the summer. We can hack around in lab, we'll build something cool. That's what nerds like to do for fun. And, we said, best case scenario, we win the $10,000 grand prize and we'll ride off into the sunset. So our expectations were in no way high, and we didn't even have an idea. But what
Oh,
happened
wow.
was we were in lab brainstorming what to do and consistently kept having to put on sweatshirts because it was over air conditioned. This is
Hmm.
June in Boston. It's hot, it's muggy out, and yet we're freezing like we're in a walk-in
Hmm.
fridge.
Hmm.
So we finally said, you know what, we've had enough. There's got to be a better way. Why can't we just heat and cool ourselves directly? And in asking that question, we said, well, what if there was a device, you could wear, say, on your wrist, and it could heat and cool? And we
Hmm.
said, that's a silly idea. Like, could it possibly work? And so we built our first prototypes that summer, and we discovered it really did work. We were pretty surprised by this, that, a device this small could have a systemic effect on how we feel. And, now understanding the science, that was really our first introduction to how temperature can help balance the nervous system by stimulating what are called the thermoreceptor nerve endings on your skin. and in doing so, send a signal to your brain. So we didn't know all that science back then. We just knew, wow, this feels good. And we let our friends try it. We let strangers try it. And everyone kept giving us that feedback. So October comes around, we win the contest, and we're like, this is amazing. We got the $10,000. And what happened next was the idea went completely viral. One MIT news office story got picked up by a bunch of bloggers. And next thing you know, I was doing an interview with Wired and the Weather Channel.
Wow.
And from the media attention, we started to get emails from thousands of people around the world really saying two things. One, temperature is the biggest pain point in my life. And two, when can I buy this? And we were just blown away. You know, we read the stories and the things that people were dealing with, it meant, you know, ranged from just, you know, my office is too hot or too cold, or my spouse and I can't agree on the thermostat, to serious medical conditions, including people who said, you know, I had breast cancer treatment and one of the side effects is hot flashes. I have MS and temperature swings really exacerbate my symptoms. But the single most common piece of email that we got was, I'm dealing with hot flashes. Does your product help? And, you know, being scientists and also being, let's be honest, 3 young men, we said, we don't know, but let's find out, you know? So we said, okay, let's try it. So we started doing different types of experiments. And it was funny because, you know, the initial feedback we got was like, it feels really good, but man, this is like ugly and chunky and I'm never going to wear it. So we realized very quickly that, you know, especially if we were going to really help the primetime women population, the aesthetics were going to be as important as the functionality. You know, we said we could make the best, most powerful heating and cooling bracelet, but if it looks ugly, it's not useful. So that actually began what ended up being a 4-year journey to launch this product. We spent that time really doing 3 things. One, primary market research, so really talking to that population and understanding their problem. You know, we were wise enough to realize that, look, we don't have hot flashes, so whatever our intuition is about what the solution needs to look like, that's going to be wrong. So throw that out the window, talk to people, really find out their needs. And the first people we talked to were my mom and her friends. They were very generous to share their time. And, you know, I joke, I said, you don't really know your mom's friends until they're telling you about how they have to sleep naked because of their hot flashes.
Visual images there, right? Just didn't need those.
I said, you know, the person who will remain nameless, I really appreciate that you can confide in me. But it was just also develop some true empathy for this problem. And, you know, hearing that some of these women were dealing with this for 5+ years, they got 20, 30, 40 hot flashes a day. And, you know, we really walked away and said, wow, if we can help even in a little bit, that would be just tremendously impactful. So that was the primary market research side. It really solidified our motivation. The next big thrust was really understanding the science. You know, being MIT founders, we said, hey, we really need to know if this works or if it's just a placebo effect. So we dug into the scientific literature, we talked to experts, we read papers, and we concluded, no, this is real. This really does work in a repeatable way via this nervous system stimulation and via helping really the brain balance the body. And then the third piece was the engineering, was saying, okay, we know this needs to be small, it needs to be attractive. How do we get there? And all that came to a head in October of 2017 when we were ready to launch the product on Kickstarter. You know, it's kind of the moment when you put your baby out in the world, and we were really fortunate that people said, you know, we're excited about this. Our goal for the Kickstarter was to raise $100,000 in sales, and we did $630,000. So
oh my gosh,
hugely successful.
Wow, that is fantastic. Wow.
We sold about 3,000 devices, and then you know, we started shipping those in 2018, and things really have taken off from then. From having sales and having real customers, we were able to raise some more money from investors, able to grow the team. We brought on an amazing CEO, this woman, Elizabeth Gazda, who had 25 years of business experience and has helped us from when she joined. She was employee 8 to now we're about 20 people. And one of the things we thought really deeply about as we were growing the product and the company was, you know, making sure that we had the customer we were serving at the seat of the table. So, you know, Elizabeth's obviously a female CEO. She's in that primetime women demographic. But today we're really proud to say that our VP of product and marketing is a woman. Our chief medical officer is a woman. The design firm we worked with is run by a woman. And even on our engineering team, we've worked really hard to recruit a diverse set of talent.
Wow.
And, you know, the results speak for themselves in terms of we've been able to sell tens of thousands of units. We just sell the product through our website, but we can see through our mobile app that we have customers using it in 160 countries. And collectively, they've logged over 70 million minutes of heating and cooling. And through that traction, we've also been able to actually do some clinical work and publish some scientific papers that show that, hey, the things our customers are telling us in terms of this is life-changing, this is helping me sleep, that we now have data to support it. So we're just, you know, and tremendously proud of what we've done today and the people we've helped, but also know we're just getting started. We look really deeply at this market trend, and, you know, we saw an article in Forbes a couple months ago that said by 2025, there's going to be over 1.1 billion women in menopause. And that's our North Star, saying, hey, we want to really help that. And I think it's especially important to say, and this came up during our initial primary market research, that, you know, the best solution today is hormone replacement therapy. And that's just not something many women want to do, and other women can't. So yeah, that's our story. And we can take it in any direction you guys want.
Well, that leads to so many questions.
But first of all, I just want to thank you and your partners' parents, because they raised some great people. Because, I mean, you know, you three came up, or was it your two buddies, you and two others? You came up with this because something was happening to you. And I can remember before I went through menopause, being in air-conditioned rooms where I'm just like, and you can't think of something else. That is your first priority, is I've got to change this. But you took that and you went to women and you got the woman CEO, and you realize that. And I'm like, boy, your parents did a great job. And so did your partner. So that's the first thing I want to say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's your mother's friend who shall remain nameless.
Yes.
Let her know that.
But she did a great job with that. But okay, Colleen, what were you going to say?
Well, no, I think this is such a great option for women who are suffering through menopause and perimenopause. But I'd like to break down first on how it works. So for those people who are listening, if you're watching the video, you see what it looks like. But if you're listening, it kind of looks like an Apple Watch inverted. So it's in the inside of your wrist. So it's very attractive. I think it even comes in a rose gold color, because, you know, women are all about the fashion. Okay. It's got a look, and it does. It looks just like you're wearing a watch. But you also have an app on your phone. So how does it work to control, like if I walk in a room and I'm freezing, what would I do to try to control the temperature on it?
Yeah, great question. And so we heard from our initial research that it needed to be really, really simple, right? If I'm having a hot flash, I need to activate this right away. And so the first thing we said is, okay, I need to be able to turn it on with one button. And so there's this, what we call a light bar here, and there's clicks on each side. So I can just click a button and it starts either cooling or warming right out of the box. Simple. The default session length is 10 minutes. And what you feel when you turn on the cold or warm sensation is what we call a waveform. And what that means is that rather than deliver hot or cold sensation in a static profile, it pulses. It comes in these waves that turn out to be really important for having an impact on your body, because those nerve endings I mentioned earlier, those thermoreceptor nerves, they react most strongly to waveforms. So having those waves is how you get such a systemic effect with such a small device. And what it feels like is just, you know, kind of a really nice soothing pulse of cold or warm. And it's also adjustable. So just like you can control your shower, you know, the intensity, you can do that with the Ember wave. You can just click the button and it'll get colder or warmer, and you can find your sweet spot. And so you can do all of that with a device. Where the app comes into play is really with more personalization. So again, out of the box, the default length is 10 minutes. Through the app, you can program it to run anywhere from 1 minute in length to, actually at this point, we have an all night mode, which I'll talk more about. That's 8 hours. So if you have trouble sleeping because of temperature, you can set it to run for, you can set it to run for 8 hours and anything in between. So you can do, you know, 1 minute, 10 minutes, 60 minutes. And so that's one degree of personalization. And what you find is that what we've done on the back end is programmed it. So depending on the duration of the session, the time between those pulses changes. And we also have pre-programmed modes, including one for hot flashes. We have one for falling asleep. I mentioned we have that all night mode, and we have an ability to customize the device as well.
Oh,
So you can
that's
actually
fantastic.
customize and design your own waveform. So that's one element of the app, is that personalization. The second element is really about trying to understand, how you're doing and how temperature and the product is making your life better. So we have a goal setting feature where when you download the app, it says, what's your primary goal? Is it sleep? Is it mood? Is it hot flashes? And then we ask you just two questions. What's your initial average level of interference and how much does it bother you? And then over an 8-week period, once a week, we're going to ask you those questions again and then show you if it's getting better. And if it's not, the product has a 30-day return period. So, if it's not working for you or you're not getting satisfied, we want you to send it back. We want to make it easy for you. But if it is, we want you to be able to see that in the app, so you're really motivated to make this a habit and make it a part of your life. The third thing you can do with the app is upgrade the firmware. So we continue to release new features to make this hardware better. And those are all things that you can download. One of the features that we're actually working on, which will be released by the time, or will be live by the time this is released, so I'm comfortable talking about it, is a feature to use the device to actually send warmth to a loved one. We call it Embrace, and we think it's perfect for a world with social distancing. So it basically, if I were to send, you an Embrace, Bridget, you'd get a notification on your app that says, hey, you have an Embrace from Sam. You open that up and it shows a little message, maybe it says thinking of you. And then you can either click, hey, I want to feel this now, or you can ignore it for later. And then it's a 40-second special waveform of warmth that is actually scientifically shown to help stimulate the same regions of the brain as essentially a hug. So it's like a digital hug.
So you both have to be wearing it though, right? You both have to be wearing.
So the person receiving the Embrace, you both have to own an Ember Wave.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure.
What about, if you had family, that would be so nice, like especially people that are in nursing homes or places that you can't go
see them.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So we made a big engineering push to get that out for the holidays, because we know so many people are not necessarily going to be able to be in their person with their loved ones. We really think this is the next best thing, because there's a literally hardwired region of your brain to process temperature in the same way we process social emotions. That's actually why we use language like a warm smile and a cold shoulder, because temperature is hardwired into the way we interact with each other. So that's another example of how you can use the product and what the app does. And I know that's just kind of blowing your mind with
I'm trying to pick my mouth off the floor at the moment, because that's wonderful. I mean, even if just thinking of, you send it to your child at college who maybe has a really inconsiderate roommate that keeps the room too cold or the room too hot, so they have an Ember, and I mean, that's a beautiful thought. Or you send it to your parent, or because people, there are a lot of reasons beyond hot flashes why people have trouble controlling their body temperatures. So while yes, we are a large demographic of people who would definitely want to buy the bracelet, there are other medical issues that might be helped by it.
I have a question about exercise. Can you wear it while you are exercising?
Great question, Bridget. And we get that a lot. And what we've typically heard from customers is that while you're exercising, it tends not to be super effective, because the amount of heat you're generating when you're really working out is just more than this device can really make a big difference. But in terms of a warm up or a cool down, it can be helpful for some people. And then going back to what you said, Colleen, you're absolutely right that we've found that, people who use the product for many, many different things, whether it's, as you say, just, I'm too hot or too cold, or different medical conditions. One of the most interesting parts of our journey, and, in hindsight, one of the correct decisions we made, was that by going the direct to consumer route and, putting it out on Kickstarter and selling it on our website, we've been able to reach such a wide demographic of customers and then listen and say, who is it working for that we would have never guessed? And so just to give some examples, Raynaud syndrome, that's where you have really poor circulation in your hands, you get very cold. I mentioned MS. We actually have a lot of people who use it for anxiety, especially social anxiety, where, in a world where we used to go to bars or go to networking events, people find that, using the cooling or warming can help them feel a little more relaxed. We have people with more serious medical conditions like dysautonomia, like treatment-induced hot flashes. So, the best part of my job and of our team's day-to-day is when we hear from those customers who say, this is just really making my life better. And, as you say, it goes well beyond just primetime women, but that's
Mhm.
definitely a demographic that's near and dear to our hearts because of the pain, the pain point that they have.
Oh, I mean, and it is something really, we've talked to several women that have quit their jobs because of things that they just can't handle it in the workplace anymore. And I'm curious too, so you have it here. Is it because of the nerve endings and the thin skin in that area?
Exactly. Yeah. So the
Okay.
inside of the wrist has a really high
Hmm.
density of these thermoreceptor nerves. And so what I'll typically do is kind of when I'm turning it on, do it here. And then when I turn it off, I put it on the top. And
Okay.
I also
Oh,
have right
okay.
now one of our comfort bands, but there's different bands. So by default, it comes with a really nice magnetic stainless steel band, very similar to what's on one of the Apple Watch options, but we sell a leather band, we sell a nylon band. So, whatever your style preference is, we tried to have a solution for you. And as you mentioned, we have a beautiful rose gold option that
Mhm.
a lot of our female customers
Yes.
really love, and
Mhm.
some
I
male ones
noticed.
too.
I noticed that one right away.
Yeah.
Is there any place besides the wrist that it can be used, or is that the best location on the body?
That's a great question. So, all of our skin is sensitive to temperature, some areas more than others. We chose the wrist in part because it really does have that high density of thermoreceptor nerves, but also in part because, people are comfortable adopting new things. But we've seen from our customers, them trying it out in all sorts of different places. So 2 anecdotes that I really love. One is we had a customer who bought 2 who lived in India in Mumbai. And he once sent us a photo with both strapped around his neck like a choker saying, it's 110 in Mumbai, but I feel great. And, of
Oh my
course, I was like,
gosh.
does that really work? So I put it on and it said like, wow, that feels cold.
Oh, wow.
Certainly makes a style statement. The second
Mhm.
anecdote was from a woman who said, hey, I'm getting married this weekend. Can I wear this on my ankle? Because I know I'm going to be freezing in my wedding dress, but I don't want to show in photos. So we said, absolutely, put it on your ankle. Like that'll feel great.
That's
And
just
that's
something
where,
new.
yeah.
I hope it doesn't
Something
look like
new.
her ankle bracelet. Like I
Or
hope
like
it
a
doesn't
house
think that
arrest, but
she was like had to wear that for legal
Well,
reasons. I don't know. I don't know, but still,
that
it would
leads
be a
to
good
another
story.
story.
Yeah, there would be a good story behind it.
Is there anyone who can't use the bracelet?
Yeah, very great question as well. So the default band has a magnet on it. Again, you can swap it out. So people with pacemakers, they need to really talk to their doctor. And then, if you have other really significant medical conditions that say make you potentially sensitive to temperature, we just always encourage you to talk to a physician first. At the same time, what we're doing is essentially as safe as wrapping your hands around a hot cup of coffee. Or an ice cold drink. And that was something that was really important, was to say design a solution that is natural. We're very proud of the fact that in many ways this is a really easy and intuitive solution for your body to understand. The other example we always give is, people say like, what if you're out on a 100-degree day, or what if you're out without a coat? And essentially, because the device is not changing your core body temperature, because it's really helping their body balance its nervous system, it's not a replacement for, a winter jacket, and it's not going to,
Okay.
prevent you from getting heat stroke. The good news is it's not going to like trick your body in those situations either. I always joke, if I went outside in the middle of the Boston winter without a jacket and with just my Ember Wave, my wrist would be warm, but the rest of me would be freezing. And
Okay.
it's pretty obvious to me that I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm really cold right now.
And that's a great point. I mean, because I was thinking, I wonder if like those days, if you're like out on a hike on those hot days. So that was a great point, and it answered the question that I was going to ask. So that's great.
If you are going to use it overnight for like 8 hours, or wear it during the day, how often does it have to be charged? Like, is it chargeable and then it lasts for 12 hours? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it obviously depends on how frequently you're using it, and also which of those modes. As you can imagine, the longer modes use more batteries. So typically, if you're using that 8-hour mode, you'll need to charge it every day. If you're using more like the 10-minute mode or a hot flash mode, oftentimes you'll be able to go 2 or 3 days before you need to charge it. And it charges with just a micro USB port, like a, kind of a cell phone. So that's funny you mentioned that, because it was actually a real engineering challenge to make that 8-hour mode. It was something ever since in 2019, when we released our fall asleep mode, the most common thing was, okay, can you make it last all night? And at first we said no. And then, earlier this year we said, well, is it really impossible? And through a really heroic effort by Kristen and our waveform team, they were able to make it happen. And our customers they really appreciate it. And the amount of people who've said, I don't wake up in the middle of the night anymore, because what's nice about the fall asleep mode was, okay, they said, I'm falling back asleep faster if I wake up with a night sweat. But now they're saying, I'm sleeping through the night. And just the fundamental foundational impact you can have on someone's quality of life, if you can improve their sleep, is just cannot be underestimated.
For those of us who suffer from night sweats, that's huge, because by the time you kind of change and you're awake. So if you can bypass that whole experience, that's awesome. That's a great feature. I'm glad you were able to connect that.
I can't take any credit, but our team did an amazing,
that's great.
Did amazing work.
Thank the team. So you have it on your website and social media, because I've seen it on social media several places. How are you getting it to the women who are like, are you connecting with doctors at all, or who's kind of responding to you saying, we need to get this to our audience besides us?
I'm glad you asked that question. So, again, when we first launched in 2017 on Kickstarter, it was very much, almost like a spray and pray. It was like, we're going to put this out there, we're going to talk about what it does, and we're going to just really see if we can further validate that, the people who really need this the most are that primetime women. And then over the last couple of years, as we've confirmed that, we've tried to be a little more targeted with our marketing efforts. So, digital channels, we've done some magazines, we've done some podcast advertising. What I think has changed over really the last year has really been leaning in more publicly to menopause. Over the past couple of years, I've gone to the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas to represent Ember, huge electronics trade show, cutting edge technology, and menopause was the buzzword of 2020.
Oh, wow.
And for us, that was so exciting to see, because as you can imagine, the audience of the Consumer Electronics Show tends to skew very male. So to see that audience is really talking about this, that was big. And so that really kind of gave us permission to feel like we could lean into that a little bit more. So that was when we released our hot flash mode. That was publicly called our hot flash mode. We put that goal tracking feature out. And actually, most recently, we've hired a chief medical officer. Dr. Pam Peak, she just joined us at the end of June. She's got a ton of clinical experience and is helping us run more clinical trials so that we can continue to show that the technology works. And to your question, we think that's really essential, starting to go directly to physicians. There are some more forward-thinking physicians that will come to us and say, hey, my patients were asking about this, or I'm willing to recommend it because it doesn't have side effects. But we know to really unlock that channel, we need that body of evidence, and we're building it. We know we'll get there. It's just going to take some time. In the meantime, we're really focused on going direct to consumer and finding what we've come to call the beehives, which are just like you guys have.
I was thinking our hive there.
Just the communities of women that have really gathered together because no one was talking about this, and they were just realizing, there's got to be other people who are experiencing this. And so we've started to connect with some of the key folks in some of those communities to get that word out. And we're really pleased to see that, just like you guys, people are excited. They're saying, wow, I wish I knew about this. And of course, I'm glad this is here.
Yes.
And that's so true, because one of the things that we get asked the most about are there natural alternatives for menopause. Women are still, even though the studies, they said the 2002 report, some of them were a little bit, the bad news travels faster than the good news. Women are hesitant to take HRTs, and they, and they're looking for an alternative, like something diet, nutrition. But if they knew about this, they would love it. I mean, when our audience hears this, I'm sure we're going to get a huge saying, where can I find this? Yeah, exactly. Because they are looking for natural remedies for the symptoms of perimenopause. And what a lot of even women don't realize is that perimenopause can last up to 10 years. So, and postmenopause, you can still have trouble regulating your body temperature.
I was still having it. Yeah.
So this is something that can be used over time. And if you're constantly kind of updating it, it goes along with them. They can just update the app, right? That would
exactly. Yeah. The other thing we really emphasize there too is, as a direct to consumer product, we're set up so that you have a 30-day trial, right? So, before you're making a decision to go on HRT or trying other solutions, you can pay for this, and if it's not working, send it back. We're very glad to take it. We'll listen really carefully because this is our first product. If all goes well, we'll make more, and we know that what we make in the future could be much better than this. So the people who return, we say, hey, thank you for giving us a try, and any feedback you want to share. So we kind of look at it and kind of position it as to say, hey, you have nothing to lose. Try it out. And if it works, amazing. It certainly worked for some people. Has it worked for everyone? Absolutely not. But the people who it hasn't worked for, I think most of them would say it was easy to return. The customer service was really excellent. It's something we care about really deeply. And, I don't think they're any worse off for having tried it.
Right. It doesn't sound, it's not going to do any permanent damage to you. So.
Right. And there's such a large demographic of women that have the resources to buy a product like this, and really word of mouth once someone, because we like to share, like if something works for Bridget or works for myself, we're going to share that information with everybody else. So the fact that the word of mouth is going to grow it too. And I hope there comes a point where maybe it's even covered by insurance for some conditions.
And that was something I saw on your thing.
Yeah.
Flexible spending account.
We just got that in August. We're so excited. So we're now flexible spending account eligible. So especially for all people for the holidays, when you have to use that money or lose it, that could be a big addition. And, to your point, again, insurance reimbursable, that's certainly where we'd love to be at some point. Just again, that's going to take time, right? Because you got to build the body of evidence to go to the FDA, then you got to get the insurers to approve it. And so in the meantime, we said, keep selling where we can, and people who are able to buy directly and afford it, they will. And, know that the people who maybe it's out of their price range right now, we're coming. The other thing we did is we offer financing. So through our website, you can get up to 12 months of interest-free payments. So you can kind of break it down a little bit at a time. And, that's, to be quite frank, something that costs us margin, but we wanted to do because we really believe in the product's ability to help people. And it's more important to my co-founders and I to reach more people than make the most money we can off every single customer.
Right.
Well, because you're
going
to have, right. Well, you're also going to get more. We are a huge, like I keep saying, large demographic. If someone likes something, the word gets out, And I guess one of the first questions we should have asked you is, how much is the product?
Great question.
It was, we already bought. No, we're like, we don't care. We're sold.
It retails for $299, but I know this will come out, roughly ahead of the holiday season.
Yes.
We do start offering holiday discounts. The best way to get a discount is to sign up for our email list. We don't spam you. We'll let you know when we have a sale. We do a monthly newsletter, but it's a nice way to stay up to date, and also to make sure that if you do have a color preference, you can get it before it sells out, as especially this holiday season where we're expecting big demand.
Great. And we will let our listeners know when there are promotions. Hopefully we'll be able to do something on the podcast as well, which would be great for the holidays for them, because we'll make sure this goes out right around that time. Thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it.
Could you share your website? Just share the name of your website.
Of course. So the website is emberlabs.com. That's EMBRLABS.com.
Well, thank you. We'll have all of this on our show notes. Yes.
And thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate the information. We're excited to order ours.
Yes, we are. Now I'm thinking of what color band will I choose?
Do we get the multicolors?
I know.
These are the issues we worry about.
Yes.
But, and we'll make sure to stay in touch to let our listeners know what's going on around the holiday time. So thank you so much, and we appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Colleen and Bridget, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun, and I really appreciate the opportunity. As you can tell, this is something I'm personally really passionate about. I've spent literally the last 7 years of my life on this, and it's because we really care. And I hope that came across, and I hope that some of your customers can find some relief.
And we're so thankful to have someone targeting our age group. I think we've said it a lot, but we sometimes feel ignored by marketers. Our primetime women. I love that term.
We might steal that.
Steal it. Oh,
we might steal it from you.
Steal away.
But I just appreciate.
She's so excited.
I'm so excited. I just appreciate that as well. We really do, because we do often feel ignored, and this product came right to us, and we love
when we find something that we think really is going to help our listeners and our demographic. So we're thrilled to get the word out about your products, because I think they're going to really like it.
I think they are.
Thank you.
Yes.
I mean, we can tell that you guys really love what you do, and there should be many more podcasts like what you're doing. So it was when the opportunity came in, we were just thrilled to have the opportunity, and it's great to meet you guys.
We're trying. We're spreading the word. So
yes.
we'll see. But thank you again.
Thank you.
Of course.
Well, thank you, Sam, so much for sharing this information with us and sharing all of the research behind the Ember Wave, just everything about it. I think I told him, I thanked his parents. I think the parents of the other two guys as co-founders, and the fact that he has a woman. He knew we need to get a woman CEO here. Thank you. Gosh,
thank
you
you.
guys were brought up right. And I mean,
So if he tells his mother to start listening to this podcast, whoever you are, Mrs. Shames, thank you so much for raising your son.
Yeah.
You did.
You women, you did it right. Yeah, you did a good job. And you probably had good fathers too.
Exactly. Yeah. But we have to give credit to the mothers, because this is a product for hot flashes right now.
That's right. That's right. Yes. So.
But we will keep you updated on the promotions. Hopefully it'll be out by the time this episode is out, and we'll be able to let you know any kind of promotion that he has for the holidays. We will make sure to get that to you, because we want to make sure we save too.
Yes.
Because several of my relatives will be getting this.
Oh, I have 9 sisters. They're going to be.
You better take out a second mortgage.
I've got to go to the bank. I got to get a loan. No.
But, check our website, hotflashescooltopics.com. We will have the information on there, not just the show notes, but if there is a promotion, we'll put it on there. And we will have it in our Facebook group. So go to Facebook, look under groups, Hot Flashes and Cool Topics. We'll try to share that in the promotional material. Thank you guys so much for listening. We hope that you found this as interesting as we did, because I really want to order one right now.
Yeah, I know. I think I'm gonna get off here and order one real quick. So
we're just hanging up on all of you now.
It's like, bye, I gotta go order, right now. I'm on another page, It looks like I'm here, but I'm not. So but thank you guys so much. And make sure you follow us on Facebook and on Twitter and on Instagram and Pinterest.
And make sure to press that subscribe button, because it's really important. It makes the algorithms happy, it makes us happy, and it makes you happy, because you don't miss any of our episodes. And sometimes we throw a bonus one in there. So
that's right. Be on the lookout for it. So yes.
Have a great week, guys.
Thanks. Bye-bye.